Relationships can be one of the biggest hindrances in your walk with Christ. For years, that was an area I was convicted in, and I knew God wanted me to submit to Him so that He can ultimately change. Relationships can be a very subtle trap of the enemy because most times our intentions of them are good, but what comes with them, the close proximity, the physical intimacy, the feelings of love, and those desires are often very, very strong and powerful, and they'll make you do things that you don't want to do, especially when you're trying to live for Christ. I found myself trying to pursue a godly relationship, but it often failed every single time because when you have experienced physical intimacy on both sides, it is a battle that is so strong, that is so enticing, that is so arousing that you're often going to fall and it's going to lead you to disobey God. So I found myself in a cycle of sin. I would confess, I would be remorseful, I would do all of those things, but I wouldn't fully repent because I would find myself right back in the same situation a few weeks later because that soul tie, that connection, that desire of the flesh was pulling me back into those situations. What makes it worse is that God was giving me so many chances, so many warnings, so many opportunities to break the relationship off, but I chose to disobey. I chose to continue. I chose to continue to pursue. I chose to continue to hold on to this stumbling block, to this idol that will ultimately lead to a very, very bad outcome. Usually when you're in situations or relationships that require a lot of you, you don't take time to consider what all you're investing into it. And as I think about it now in retrospect, I gave this relationship my everything. Time, money, resources, you name it, I gave it to this relationship. And because of that, it became an idol. It was a monument. It was something that I served in the place of the God that I said I loved. And even with that understanding, I still wouldn't cut it off. I still wouldn't let it go. The Lord had to force me out of that situation in the most undesirable circumstances. The only way to get me out of that situation was a broken heart. It had become a stronghold, it had become an idol, and I wasn't going to let it go without extreme circumstances. So the young lady let me know that she cheated on me 2-3 years prior, and at that moment, my heart was broken, it was contrite, and I was finally in a position to listen, hear God, and move towards obeying Him in this particular circumstance. So from this, I would say don't let it take a disaster, an undesirable situation to happen for you to obey God. I made that mistake, but He often gives us chances and warnings to remove ourselves and obey Him before these undesirable situations or disasters come. And these situations come not because He wants to punish us, not because He wants to see us in pain, but because He loves us. And He knows that by obeying Him, our lives will be much better and we will able to fulfill the purpose that He has for us. So consider the relationships in your life. If they're not leading you or encouraging you to obey God, you need to cut it off before God has to force His hand Himself.